Today, I'm going to be touring my cottage in Bloxburg. So here I am at the front of my cottage, and I actually built this cottage for a build battle I did with my cousin and a subscriber. I already have a video up on my channel where I tour all of our finished cottages if you're interested, but in that video I kind of did a quick fly through of mine, but I also really wanted to make a proper tour video where I talk more about how I built the cottage and show off all of its features. So with that said, let's begin our tour. So this is what the very front of the cottage looks like. As you can see, we have two different paths to follow. It doesn't really matter which way you go. I'm gonna go ahead and head to the right, and at the very front here we have the driveway, and I'm noticing I forgot to continue this to the concrete. My bad. We just started touring and already I'm noticing a mistake. But then at the front we have our address here, 42024, which is actually the date that I finished the build, April 20th, 2024, because I needed a number for the address, so I thought might as well put the day I finished the build. I did the same thing actually with my jungle mansion, but instead of the date it's finished, since it's not finished yet, it's the date I started it. But anyways, in the front we just have some hills with some bushes, landscaping that's very, very simple. Like I literally just threw down some trees and bushes. I did not want to go very detailed with this landscaping. I was also very behind in finishing this build, so I wanted to finish it as soon as possible. But it looks nice from far away and it adds so much, so it may not be the best landscaping, but we've got landscaping. But then walking up the driveway, it kind of curves around over to the front of the cottage. So this is the front of the cottage. I wanted to go for a little bit more of a modern style cottage. And when I looked on Pinterest, I saw a picture that had white walls like this, and then up here by the roof was a light red shingles, bricks. I don't really remember what it was, but I ended up going with bricks because it was the nicest looking texture, at least at the time I built this. They've had so many in the past few months. But then heading on inside, we first have an entryway here. Oh, also don't mind these plants. There's going to be a few of them. When Bloxburg added this new plant here, they replaced the old one and it inverted the colors. So like the pot used to be this color and the pot is now gold. I don't know exactly why it's gold, but anyways, there's a few of those. As you can see, there's another one here. I kind of forgot to change them. But on this wall, you have a spot to hang up your coat, and then there's a hat stand and a bench to take off your shoes. We've got umbrellas, lots of plants, and then in this corner, more plants, and then a portrait. I wanted to go for more of a spring feel since I was building this in spring, so there's definitely a lot of plants in this build. I maybe went a little overboard, especially in the dining room, which we'll get to later, but who cares? It's fine. But then here we also have a table with a mirror and a plate for you to put down your car keys, watch. We have some sunglasses here. So this is where you put anything you need right before you walk out the door. And then looking up, we have an open wood ceiling. But now let's go ahead and head into the living room. We have this little arched opening, I guess, arched door frame that we walk through. And then here is the living room. As you'll see a lot in this cottage here, I wanted to mix like a modern style with a little bit more of an old traditional style. So you have like the checkered floors and the stone walls, and then you have this old like vintage wallpaper. But then you also have more of a modern wood floor and modern white walls. So I tried to kind of mix that together, but overall I wanted it to look more modern. So we have a wall of paintings of just a bunch of different landscapes, and then we have two couches facing each other with a coffee table in the middle. It's a perfect place to sit down and talk, maybe with some guests that you invited over. And then here we just have a table with like a vintage artifact, the Maui statue, and then a calendar. And since this is a cottage, I did have to incorporate a little bit of that like classic old cottage kind of style where you have a lot of like paintings and stuff like that. And then here you have the stairs, which we will go up a little bit later. We have a random bouquet of flowers on the ground. It looks nice, but I suppose now that I think about it, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then here we have this custom bay window, which I just love how this looks. I think it turned out so awesome. And then again, mixing in some of that old with these like original candle wall fixtures and some of that original stone. And then this is what the outside of the bay window looks like. Obviously, if you get a little close, it's not perfect, but from far away, I think it looks awesome. And there's some chairs hidden inside it, so you can go ahead and sit down, maybe grab a book from the coffee table or the bookshelf, and it's a nice place to sit and read. But then over on this wall, we have a custom built-in bookshelf with some drawers, and then just, of course, a bunch of random decorations, trophies, paintings, artifacts, books, plants, all sorts of different things on these shelves. And I was a little brave with the colors this time, going with like an orangey yellow and then like a teal cyan kind of color. Two very bright colors, but I think it looks nice. And you'll see in the kitchen, it really does fit well there, and I just wanted to kind of transition that into the living room a little bit. You'll also see a ton of dark blue because I love my dark blue. I mean, as you can clearly tell. So then moving on over here, the wood floor transitions back to that checkered black and white tile style. And actually, before we look at all that, because that's really cool, let me go ahead and just show you the bathroom real quick. Very simple, nothing crazy at all. We've got a shower with some shelves in it for the soaps, blue wallpaper, some shelves here. And then for this year, I went and took a mid-century TV stand and put a sink in it. And I do that quite a bit. I really like how that looks. And then this beautiful painting of clouds. But then back out of the bathroom, here we have the dining room with this custom like curved green glass thing, which I'm so happy with how it turned out. Obviously, you can only do so much with Bloxburg, so like you can see these lines here. I saw a cottage that had this and I was like, oh, I definitely got to include that. That was one of the original things when I built this house that I was like, this has to be included. And I think it turned out really nicely. I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. But then inside the dining room, we have a ton, and I mean a ton of plants. And we have this hairpin dining table here with some of the benches that go with it. And then over on the side, we have this chair here and the ottoman that goes with it, so you can come and like kick up your feet. And then we also have a painting stand, so you can come in and paint the nature outside. Or obviously in this case, just paint nature, because it doesn't quite match up with what's outside. But then now over to the kitchen, which I absolutely love. This has got to be my favorite kitchen I've ever made. Here we have this custom shelving unit with a shelf that then runs along the top of the wall. And then this shelf here, you've got the sink, a sponge, everything you need to do the dishes. And then here we have the stove with a massive oven hood. And I definitely like the windows in here. It maybe looks a little interesting from the outside, but I really like how you can see outside from inside the kitchen. And then over here, we just have some spices, appliances, kitchen utensils. Here we have a little coffee tea making station, your dishwasher, microwave. And then in the center here, we have an island, nothing special. And then here you have like a cutting board with like a cheese grater, like you're getting ready to make a meal, maybe grate some cheese or some vegetables or something. And then over on this wall, we have some seating since there was no room to have seating on the island. We have this little kind of nook here to eat at, which I think is really cool. And the one thing that's cool about this kitchen is that all of the cabinets are stocked. So in this one, we have the picnic basket, and then we have the jam and jelly making pot thing. I don't know exactly what it's called. And then this one, we have some dishes, and this one we have cookbooks. Here are some spices, pots and pans, cake stands. And that's actually it, because I don't really have that many cabinets. Oh, and then we also have some pots hanging from the center of the ceiling above the island. And then for these counters, what I did is this white part with the gold handle, and then this very top part, that's the counter. And then I put a basic shape on each side, and then also on the bottom to kind of give it that wooden outline. And I think it looks really nice. I like how it turned out. And then if you're wondering what this weird, awful beam looking thing here is in the middle, which I could have actually probably made this connected and look nicer. I don't know why I didn't. But this is actually covering up a little bit of the roof that, as you can see, kind of peeks through the ceiling there. So it's not just a random beam in the ceiling. I was trying to think of a good way to do it, and this seemed to be the best way to kind of cover that up, other than literally covering the entire ceiling with a basic shape. And your eye isn't really drawn up to the ceiling anyway, so I didn't think it was really that big of a deal. But it would be nice. That is something I would love to see fixed in the future. I would love to not have roofs peek through ceilings. That would be very helpful. But that is the kitchen, and now we're gonna go ahead and move on to this room, which is the sunroom. And in here we just have, again, a little area to sit and talk. Definitely that older style here. And then here we have a piano. And then of course from in this room you can see all of outside. Really nice. But then we have one more room to check up in this top cottage area, because I think I forgot to mention the whole goal of this build was to build a cottage and then an underground house, which that's where this other path leads to, is the underground house part. So this is just the spring cottage on top, and then I have a modern kind of luxurious underground house underneath this. So the last room in this cottage part of the build is a loft bedroom. So we've got the bed and then some storage over here. And then we have a desk that kind of folds out from this. Well, I don't even know what you would call this. This counter. I can't believe I just blinked on the word counter. And this counter is actually also hiding the roof, because this was also coming into here a little bit. So I covered that up with this counter here. But it was really nice because then it gave us some room for some storage, some nice plants and books. And then I actually extended this out a little bit so that we could have room to put a TV on it. And then under here I also had a room to store a karaoke machine. And then we just have some seating over here with a table in the middle, so like you can play board games, watch TV. There's a little fun spot there. And then here's the closet area. So we have a dresser, a rack of clothes, and then this little folding thing. I once again have no idea what it's called, but it just kind of divides up the room a little bit, which I liked, and I wanted to include it because it brings in that cottage feel a little bit more, especially because like up here it doesn't really feel cottage. It feels very modern. That's also where these fairy lights came in, is because I was like, you can't have a cottage without fairy lights. So I added some of those hanging above the desk. Oh, I also added these lamps because they gave a little bit more of that fairy, whimsical, fantasy cottage vibe. And one thing I like about these windows is I made sure that this bottom piece came out a little bit more. So you can totally like place stuff on the windowsill here. But then that is all for the loft bedroom. So let's head back downstairs. And now we're gonna go ahead and go outside. So from the living room, we can open these sliding glass doors. And then we have a little patio area here with some sun chairs, a picnic table. And then if we exit the patio, we have a massive garden since it was supposed to be a spring spring cottage, and I usually also associate garden with spring, so I really wanted to include a garden in this build. So we have your carrots, your onions, your strawberries, your watermelon, tomatoes, and blueberries. And if you're wondering how I made this look a little bit more natural, I just used some of the mini dirt piles and just placed a bunch of them all along the edge so it wasn't like a straight cutoff. I felt it looked a little bit better. Also with the plants, I made sure that they didn't look perfect, so obviously there's some like odd spacing in between. And I also like using a lot of these plants instead of just the plant because I feel like it looks better. Makes it look a little bit more full. So I like using that whenever I make like gardens like this. It's just placing a bunch of these plants along with whatever I'm growing. But then here we have the greenhouse, and I just love how this greenhouse looks. Oh, and we also have a bird over here in the bird bath. How nice. But the whole structure is made out of basic shapes. I just love it so much. In the front, we just have some rose bushes, some gardening. But then if we head inside, oh, and this structure this is an actual thing in the game. I did not custom make this, but I mean like the actual main structure itself. I just put these garden, once again, do you know what they're called, in front of the doors because I thought it looked nice. It gave it a little bit more dimension, which is nice. And I'm really glad I added it because I really do think it adds a lot. And then we also have the insect hotels, so we can see butterflies right outside the greenhouse. I tried placing them inside, but none of them were spawning. Like I wanted to have them come and land on like the plants and stuff, or like even just have like a room full of butterflies. But for some reason, I don't know if there's something in the game to where they can't go like into buildings or something, but they just would not come inside the greenhouse. So I placed one outside instead. But then entering the greenhouse, just have a bunch of planters with lots of different plants and flowers, of course. And then some area over here with some soil, a watering hose, and some gardening tools. And then up at the top over on this side, we have a bunch of potted plants. And I cracked this part open just a little bit so like air could come through. And again, just kind of gives a little bit more dimension so it's not all the same. Oh, I'm going to faint. So yeah, really, really happy with how this turned out. And then you can exit also over here, and we have like a wheelbarrow and then just some more gardening tools. And I actually did some of this by mistake because I built these pieces here to be 1 block wide. So like this right here, this whole wall thing is one piece, and then this one is another piece. What I did is I evenly spaced it out, I think from the top down, and I was left with this little space here, which I did not at all mean to do. And at first I was like, oh, that sucks. Am I gonna have to redo it? But then I just filled it in here, and I think it looks really nice. So it doesn't go all the way down to the floor. It has a little bit of that edge. Same on the roof. I'm really happy with how that turned out, and I'm glad I kept it. But then heading back around over here, we have a pond that kind of sits along the side of the hill. And for the hill, I just used a bunch of mansard roofs, and that's how you get this like hilly effect. I want to try using basic shapes, and so next time I do a hill like this, I might try doing that, because the problem with mansard roofs is you have to bring them over into the floor. So like I could do it just fine here, but over here I also wanted to do the hill, but I have rooms underneath here, so I couldn't because the roof would go from here and then break into the rooms, and I didn't want that. But in this pond, we have a lot of plants, and then we also have some frogs over here, some slugs and snails over here. We also have some of those over here as well, right there. And then inside the water, we have a bunch of custom fish. And so I really like how all the plants make this look. It's really cool to zoom through here with free cam. And also the ground, I used a bunch of dirt piles, so it looks very natural. It's not like flat. It looks very bumpy and hilly, but I really like this. This is a very nice spot of the build. And then going up the hill, this just leads us back to the driveway. We have a little gate here, so you can come over, swing on the tire swing, and look at the pond. But then we have a little bit more to look at the backyard, and then we get to move on to the underground house, which I definitely impressed myself with some of those rooms, and I am so happy with how they turned out. I definitely went a little crazy with the detail, but it's really cool to see like how I keep getting better and better the more I practice and the more I build. But then over at the back of the farm, we have some beehives here, so you can of course get some honey. Definitely wanted a lot of outdoorsy areas in this build, since if you live in this cottage, you most likely are here to be surrounded by nature, to have a garden and animals and all that. That's another reason why I wanted simple landscaping, is I wanted lots of trees, especially on the outside, to kind of keep it boarded in a little bit, but I also wanted a lot of just open grassy area, because I wanted that kind of like open meadow feel, and so I'm really glad that I got that over here. But anyways, got a little sidetracked. Over here we have a swing set and a trampoline, super simple. And then over here we have the garage, and inside it's a very cluttered garage. We have a sink over here underneath the window that's being worked on because it's broken. And of course we have our car. We also have a golf cart over here with this kind of little thing set up. You have paint and gas, and it makes it look like the golf cart is also being worked on. And then against this wall you just have a ton of storage. Once again, a vaulted open wooden ceiling. Oh, and then over in this corner I wanted to make it so that this light was permanently turned off, so I gave it like a dark, I think a dark brown color or a dark yellow color to make it look like it's off. But even if I went and turned on the lights using the light switch in this room, it would stay off because I wanted it to resemble a broken light. So lots of stuff that needs to be worked on in this garage. But then of course you can open the garage doors and bring your cars out. But that is all for the spring cottage, and now it's time to head to the underground house. So I'm gonna go back over to the front of my plot here, head down these stairs, and this is that other path that we could have taken at the beginning. We have some solar panels over here, and then if we walk up, we have this garden gnome and some steps which lead us to the underground house. And this is where things get very luxurious, very modern. So we have this like really fancy living room, which I just just love so much. This piano spot over here with the light hanging from the ceiling and this picture of the elephant against the wood, I just love how that looks. And then this fireplace, the shape of it, all custom done with basic shapes. I love it so much. And to get this fire here, what I did is I just took this fireplace and put it in the basement a little bit. And then of course colored it white. I think this is a basic shape as well. And I think it just looks so cool. I love it so much. And then here we have the TV. And in the center, it's a marble wall that goes across the ceiling over to the other side. Same with the wood. They're like these wooden pieces that come off the wall and then continue along the ceiling over to the other side. And then the coffee table is this like rounded cube design. Same with the sofa. Actually, we have a sectional in the middle. And then this rounded cube basic shape thing that outlines the rest of the couch. Really like how this room looks. I think it turned out so good. And then we have some benches over here, a sauna in the very middle, because I definitely wanted to include that. And then a little water fountain over here. Oh, and then also just this massive window that looks out into like the meadow. I wanted to have a massive window here, and I just didn't really know what to do. I ended up going with this oval shape to kind of match the roundedness of the inside. It looks a little maybe interesting, but my original idea was I wanted this to look like those homes that are built into the hills, and they have these massive circle and oval windows. So that's what I wanted to try to do here. But this is what I ended up doing. It was a little tricky also because I built this room at a slant. So like this is straight on with the grid. Here, I'll just go ahead and show you. See, this is straight on with the grid, but then this room here was built at a slant. So everything was done diagonally. Definitely made things a little bit more challenging, but I just love how it turned out in the end. Glad I stuck with it. And then if we head through these arches over here, we have this little snack kitchen with all of the goodies you need. Coffee machine, chocolate fountain, soda fountain, slushy machines, all of the fun treats and snacks. And then above the island, I went ahead and put this like hanging shelf with a bunch of plants on it. Oh, and obviously a frog. I did it once in another build, and I kind of liked it. This time it didn't turn out as nice as the very first time I did it in the other build, but I still think it looks very cool. It's a nice way to add some plants down here. But then the reason we have this like snack area over here, not just because it's like an underground fun hangout area, but mainly because in here we have an at-home movie theater. This is another one of those rooms that I just love how it turned out. First of all, we have this custom wall panel thing that was made with basic shapes and structurals that once again goes from the wall across the ceiling and over to the other wall. I really like that design. I really like how it looks. Looks very modern, and then some LED lights outlining that. We've got these speakers, we've got a popcorn machine, ice cream machine, mainly because I did not have room for an ice cream machine out here anywhere. And then some just massive couches, lots of blankets, pillows, just made it very cozy. And then it's also on 2 levels, so you have a level down here and another level up here. That way people's heads in the back of the couches aren't in your way of watching the movie. And I did take the risk of making everything white and not making it gray and blending in with like the ground and stuff. So it does stand out a little bit more when you're watching the movie, but I really like the contrast. I think the white looks really nice. And then we have some really cool posters over here on the wall. And then over by the TV screen, we have these little arched insets with some lights, and then some storage bins where you store the blankets. We also have a karaoke machine that you can use and have like karaoke down here, put the words on the screen, which is really cool. And yeah, you can totally turn on a movie. I like using this one because I like the curtain. I think it looks really cool. It gives it like that theater feeling. And yeah, just super happy with how this turned out. I think this is such a cozy, fun place to hang out. Then heading out of the movie theater, going down this hallway. On the right, we have a little guest bathroom here. It's not really an underground house. It's just more of like an underground basement fun area. It kind of turned into that. It was meant to be an underground house, but like this kitchen isn't a proper kitchen. You don't have a stove or sink or anything like that, so you can't cook here. But I also didn't add like stairs or an elevator for you to get from the top floor down to the bottom floor without having to go outside. So it's a little weird. And I didn't mean for it to be that way, but in the planning, it was supposed to be an underground house, turned into this, kind of forgot. And you know what happens, but it's okay. It's Bloxburg. Not everything needs to make sense and be perfect. But then back to the half bath. Of course, your sink, mirror, toilet, this shelf thing again that I used up in the kitchen, upstairs, and then some paintings. And then back in the hallway, we have this picture of an elephant seal that I was looking for a picture of an elephant that I wanted to put here. And as I was looking, I saw this and I thought it was so funny. I was like, oh, I'm just keeping this. I just think it's so funny. But down the hallway, we have some bookshelves here with some books. And then in here, we have the laundry room. Nothing crazy at all. We've got some pipes here, cleaning equipment, an area to fold and iron your clothes, obviously a washer and dryer, cabinets for storage, and then some cleaning supplies like a vacuum, mop, broom. And then these cabinets are also filled. And here we have some laundry detergent, and here we have lots of towels, and then some more towels in here and some cleaning sprays. But that is the laundry room. Heading back out over here, we have another hallway with some more paintings on the walls, and then this is a little storage closet. Just got some storage totes, cardboard boxes, very simple, and I just used some basic shapes to kind of create this shelving unit here. But then now to one of my favorite rooms, if not my favorite room of this entire build, and probably one of my favorite bedrooms ever. Here is the guest bedroom, and the main reason I love this bedroom is just because it's on 2 different layers, and I just love how that looks. So right at the front of the bedroom, hat stand, bench, once again to like get ready, put your shoes on, whatever, and a dresser. And then back over here, we have a calendar ladder and up the stairs, a massive painting on the wall, a little yoga slash at-home gym area since I didn't actually have room or plan to put a at-home gym in, but I wanted to include some exercise equipment, so I put that here. And then we have the bed, which just for some reason looks so soft and comfy, and then some seating up against the window, and then this here, which you're probably wondering, what is that just white cube? And it's actually a TV, because I wanted to like create some cool features in this build, and so one of the things I thought of was like, can you do something with like TVs? And I saw somebody do this in their build once as like a hologram, I think is what it was. But if you go ahead and go to the remote and press turn on, a TV totally pops out of like this cabinet here. So it's supposed to kind of resemble those TVs that like are in the cabinet, and if you press a button, they rise up out of the cabinet. Obviously, this one doesn't rise, it just pops up, but it's the closest thing we could get. And to do it, I just used this NYX wall projector thing here and put it on a basic shape, and so that way it's just totally floating here, which I think looks so cool. Then we have this massive window, of course, with blinds for privacy. And then over here, we have the closet, which is another really cool area. I really love this. I love the use of arches. It's like we have the closets here, but they're behind this like arched pattern. Giant mirror, little table. And then heading down the stairs, we have a bench here, some more closets with, again, that arched design. And then, of course, you have the arched design to even get into the closet. But then you also have this window here, which, of course, you can close off with blinds for privacy. But that lets you look into this like nature area and also into the office, which I know I realize for a guest bedroom, maybe that's not super practical or doesn't really make sense. But if the person in the office doesn't want them looking in, they can close the blinds. Or if the person in the guest bedroom doesn't want the person in the office looking in, they can close the blinds. So at least there's that. And then in this room, we have the master bathroom, a totally different style from the bedroom out here. You go from like a white light wood design out here to a black dark wood design in here. While struggling a lot with the colors in this bathroom, I really wanted it to be a modern bathroom. And so eventually, after trying out a bunch of different colors, that led me to this, which I think looks very nice. You have this custom shower here, and I just used one of these, but the vertical version as the handle for this custom door. And then on the top, we have some plants, this custom basic shape thing to put the soaps on. And then once again, I used the mid-century TV stand and then a different sink to create this vanity design. And then here we have the bathtub with these like round poles and this glass thing. I don't know, I just wanted to do something fun and something different for the bathtub. And then you have the toilet and some storage. But that was the guest bedroom, and now we're gonna move on to the indoor slash outdoor pool. This is another one of those areas that I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I spent a really long time on this. I think it was like 4 hours total maybe to do this entire thing. It definitely took a long time, but it's definitely worth it. You have some tables over here to eat at, like if you had lunch you wanted to come eat down by the pool, and then some chairs here to sit down and relax while your kids swim. And then here I wanted the wall to be different from the other two, just to kind of change it up a little bit since we have a lot of this wall already. So I tried to make like a wave design here with basic shapes. It didn't end up looking like waves, but you know, it's a fun design. Kind of fits the pool water kind of feeling here, and so it works. But then you have life buoys, not that you need them at a pool, but I placed them anyways. You have towels, sandals, a helium tank to blow up any inflatables that you want in the pool, and then here is just like some pool supplies in these bins. But then you have the actual pool, which is definitely the coolest part. I worked really hard to get the pool to round at the edges, and then you have this blue neon light that goes along the rim of the entire pool. And then here you have this custom railing made out of basic shapes, and then also these custom steps. And then if you look under the pool, it slopes down, so you go from a shallow end when you get in, and it slopes down to a deep end all the way at this end. And I just think that's so cool. I'm so glad that it turned out so nicely. It's so smooth, and I just love how it looks so much. And you have all your inflatables, pool noodles, beach balls, all that. And if you walk out through the pivoting doors, you have a water slide here that you can walk under, and then over here we have some more tables and some sun chairs with umbrellas to protect you from the sun, but if you wanted to sit and bask in the sun, you can also close those. And then of course a ladder so you can climb in and out of the pool. And then of course to light up the pool a little bit, I put some of these lights in here. And then over here I didn't really have room for the lights, so I put them under so that you still get some light, but that way they don't look weird. And then the last really cool feature about the pool, not only does it go from like the inside to the outside through this like arched opening, but you also have this like partial sunroof that I think looks really cool. A little bit odd maybe, looks a little bit interesting, but overall I think it's pretty cool. I like how it turned out. And then you have these trees and bushes that outline the entire pool area. And then over here you can take the stairs, and this will lead you back to the backyard where we have the greenhouse and the farm. But then we have one more room to tour, which I kind of already showed you in the guest bedroom, but there is an office. So if I head down here, it's a secret office. If we just open this bookshelf door, then we can enter into the office. Once again, another room that has 2 layers because I just love that. Once I discovered it and started doing it in the movie theater and then in the guest bedroom, I definitely want to do that here because I just love doing it. It makes the rooms look so much bigger and like more elegant and more fancy. Then this is the window with some plants and a little fountain where you can see into the guest bedroom. Obviously you can close the blinds if you don't want that. And then over here you have the same thing, some trees and a little water fountain. Here you have the massive desk with the computer, obviously a bunch of files and everything you need for working. And then here you have this other little desk here with this like design that I use this shelf to be like the legs of the desk, which I think look really cool. And then up at the top we have these vines that cover the entire wall and this massive window. Definitely the biggest window on the plot, but it just looks so cool. cool. I like how you're kind of level with the ground here at the top of the desk. But I love the view from this window because especially with the big trees, it just makes this room feel so massive. But then behind the desk, I wanted this to feel kind of like a jungle office. I don't know, I was just in that jungle mood. So I added this little planter here with some plants and then this water fountain. Along with plants, I wanted to have lots of water features in this office. But then back up to the top part, we have this custom built-in. So on this side, there's just some cabinets and then just some shelving, all sorts of stuff, books, and then some more cupboards here. And then this part is a massive shelf with a painting in the background. And then just some more of that over here, some more cabinets, another big shelf. And then this, I tried to make it look like somebody from Rome riding their chariot pulled by a horse. I needed something to fill up that shelf and I just came up with that and I thought it was cool. And then just of course some more paintings. And then outside you have this like meadow area with a little bit of a forest. And to make this hilly like this, I believe I used was it the hip roof? Oh, the pyramid roof, my bad. I used the pyramid roof. If you go down into the basement and use manual placement, you can just kind of like drag it along and it creates this like hill look. I just think it looks so cool. Definitely makes this look so much better than it just being flat. And if you're more curious about how I built this in the building process, I plan to upload several videos of me building this. I recorded myself building it all, and so I have the footage, I just need to edit it all. But I definitely plan to do that. I think that would be fun. But anyways, that was me touring my cottage and underground house in Bloxburg. I would love to hear what your favorite room of this build is. Like I said earlier in this video, mine is probably the guest bedroom and the kitchen. I just love how those look. And if you enjoyed, thumbs up the video, consider subscribing, and have a wonderful rest of your day.